I'm gonna go put on a real shirt.
Please do.
Oh, thanks, appreciate it. Ass.
Oh, goodness. Hmm. Look at that. He does have the timer up. Nice. Yeah, I'm preparing for a game myself. I'll be leading one for the first time.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah. It's exciting. So it's in the Power Rangers RPG. So it's a lore that I know. So I'm really comfortable with it.
Nice. There you go. Yeah, I tend to stick to, I don't know, it's either fantasy or like grim dark sci-fi. That's kind
I
of.
do love grimdark sci-fi. Like you mentioned Event Horizon earlier, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm interested now.
Yeah. So I actually kind of like, I want to do like kind of the Expanse universe, only like, darker. That's
Okay.
kind of where I would like to. And that's kind of what I think I'm going to do, because I talked to Than, and I'm working on, although I have been pouring a lot more into Righteous Vow lately, but I'm working on a adventure zine for Dark Space, which should be out, and it's in December, but I'm still narrowing down exactly what's going to go on with that.
Oh, nice.
Should be cool.
All right. Okay. Yeah, music
Yes. Yes, there's music.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Tavern Talks. I am your wonderful barkeeper for the evening with our original co-host now, Beaker. So for those that are looking for Game Master Mom, sorry.
I'm sorry. Not as pretty. I can't help it.
And we are here once again with a new guest. And tonight and next week, we're going to be talking all things Shadow Dark. For those that have been around the channel for a little bit, you know that's kind of been my excitement over the last couple months. So it's cool to have some writers on here to kind of give us a breakdown of what that looks like because I'm excited. So we're gonna ask some questions. We're gonna kind of warm you up there, Bill, for a little bit, and then we're gonna start throwing questions at you left and right. It's kind of what happens here. So
Sounds good.
But as I tell people, we dive down rabbit holes that don't ever end usually until we pull ourselves back out. So hopefully we'll find some interesting topics tonight. For those that are first time viewers, make sure if you have questions, make sure you drop those in the chat room, and we will answer those questions as they pop up. Real quick, before we start, Bill, just give us a brief rundown of who you are and what you do in the TTRPG space.
Sounds good. Well, first and foremost, thank you, James and Chuck, for having me on, and I really appreciate being here. As for me, I am a writer and layout designer and cartographer for Crawl Club Publishing and the Righteous Vow RPG adventure third-party zine for Shadow Dark. So Shadow Dark RPG has a third-party license, which is very generous, and it allows writers like myself and many others within the OSR community who enjoy Shadow Dark RPG to write zines or modules or hacks of Shadow Dark RPG, and then make those available for people to enjoy alongside the rule set. There are some different stipulations, and they've got their own rules of what we can and can't do. Like, say, this is officially a Shadow Dark RPG zine or anything like that. We've got to say third party. But yeah, it's similar to something with the DM's Guild, etc., except for way cooler because you get to write for awesome rule set like Shadow Dark. But yeah, it's really great. I have a team, several artists. There's Andrew and Uriah and Dwayne, and then I also work with Wayne Brecky and Lori Brecky are my editors, and they do a fantastic job. And there's others that are playtesters and friends who also get little previews of what we're doing, just so that way we can make sure we have a little bit of balance, even though OSR isn't totally balanced by any means. But yeah, what I do in the space is just write fun stuff, and hopefully people enjoy it. There you go.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like quite a bit. And we're going to hopefully break that down a little bit as we have our conversation tonight. So to start this off, I start my guests off every week with the same 3 questions, kind of just to get us warmed up. The first question is, when did you get into tabletop role-playing games?
Okay. I have said this a few times, but in different places, but the very first real exposure I had to tabletop RPGs was at Boy Scout camp. It was a cabin camping when I was probably 13 or 14 years old, and we went cabin camping, and everybody brings their Axis and Allies and Risk and whatever board games they want to bring out to camp. And I was always a huge fan of war games. Like my parents got me a copy of Axis and Allies when I was real young, just because we'd go to these cabin campouts and we'd always play it, and I was like, this is the best thing ever. So I was a huge war gamer, into that sort of thing. I had a copy of Shogun and all the old war games that came out, the board games. But I got subjected to AD&D basically by the black box with the red dragon on it, the old AD&D box set with the little cardboard standees and the board. And one of the kids brought that out, and we played all the rules completely wrong, and it was completely not how you play AD&D, but we did that, and it was a lot of fun. And then this other board game came out called Hero Quest, and had to pick that up later on. And I didn't really seriously get into it though, until about third edition. But yeah, it was mainly that black box with the red dragon on it was the first exposure I had to it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I saw that when I was like in elementary school, because like my grandfather owned one, and I didn't know what it was, and it was just laying around the house, and I was like, "What is this?" It was just really cool. So yeah. So I guess you and I had very different, cabin adventures for Boy Scouts. I
Yeah.
don't remember ever being allowed to bring Axis and Allies and games
Oh
like
man,
that.
they were all about it. But we did outdoor stuff. I can remember I'd go sledding. They had these big sledding hills, and we'd sled down, and we'd go winter cabin camping, and then during the evenings we'd play board games. So that was pretty cool. We had a lot of fun. But that was the 90s. So
You got something, Chuck? Because
No, no,
okay.
no, no.
No,
I'd never expected to hear like, oh yeah, my first like real board game experience was at Boy Scouts.
right? Yeah, I'm kind of still a little flabbergasted by that one as well. I was like, that's new. Um,
fun.
but I
Maybe I
mean,
would have actually been at Boy Scout if they were board games.
right?
I'm actually an Eagle Scout too, so I made it all the way through.
Oh, jeez.
Well, yeah, I would have too if it wasn't for the fact that they didn't let me play board games.
We had a fun troop.
It sounds like it. So the second one is what kind of caught your attention when you first played a TTRPG or Dungeons and Dragons that really was like, there's something new about this, or there's something different.
Yeah, I actually, when you're younger, I feel like the thing that really drew me to it was the complexity of the rules. I think when I in my youth, I always wanted to play war games, and I did the whole Warhammer thing, and uh, different tabletop war games as well. But I feel like that crunchiness is kind of what I sought out at first. How can I min max this or whatever? But then you know learning it, and then actually going through and actually experiencing it, and figuring out the collaboration of it and the storytelling of it, and it just opened new doors for me that I didn't realize at first. And I think that's kind of the progression. It's not the same for everybody, but I feel like a lot of people I know, that's kind of the progression. When they're younger, they're looking to win games. When you're older, you're looking for an experience.
Mm.
So
Pretty good example right there. Yeah. So then, when did the transition happen from being a player to being a game master?
okay, yeah, and that always just kind of went back to, I'd always planned game nights even when it was for board games,
Mm.
people would look to me to, what are we playing now. And so being a game master and a dungeon master just kind of came naturally to me, just because I'm kind of the the friend in the group that kind of was the glue, I would say.
Okay.
Um, a lot of times, I used to, right out of college, I went and after I got an apartment, I went and bought a house, and then I'd have people over and we would get out. I didn't have enough money for like a big table, so I went to the hardware store and got a big piece of plywood and then put like sawhorses underneath it, and we just played on that and we'd get pizzas. So that was a poor man's gaming table back then, but and then we just get whatever chairs were in the house and gather around. But a lot of times, when it came to game master, it was kind of like, yeah, I've got to do this because if I don't, nobody else will. And then yeah, and I sucked at it. I was terrible at it. It's just like you start off and you suck, and then you keep sucking until you get better, and then eventually, hopefully, you'll get good at it the more you do it. But I've always kind of been that way though, where I just dive into things. I remember when I was 15 years old, I got a job at Best Buy with my friend because he said, I told them that I know as much about computers as Kevin does. And then Kevin taught me over the period of the next month how to do everything because I didn't even know what a megahertz was. So, but eventually I was selling computers and printers and everything. But
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
say you can do it and then learn how.
Make it till you make it, right?
Exactly.
So
That would be the phrase, wouldn't it?
it would be the phrase, right?
How I got where I am.
Yeah. 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 That's how this show got started.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to do it.
Yeah, I mean, really, you're right. I mean, that's kind of what it turned down to or it ended up as is nobody was doing it, and we said, hey, we'll do it, and then we did it, and we're still here 3 years later. So, but we keep going, and yeah. So, what then caught your attention between? So, how long did you play Dungeons and Dragons before you moved to Shadowdark?
Actively, probably about, I mean, because it kind of was a thing where, I played when I was younger for a while, then I played in college for a while, but it wasn't like I was always playing Dungeons and Dragons. It was kind of like an off and on thing. But then, in my 30s and, my late 30s, I really, because I'm 44 now, but in my late 30s, I got back into it, and then it was kind of like I was pretty hard in the paint on 5th edition, and I don't know, I was playing a lot, and then I was DMing, and then I think I didn't get into Shadowdark right away when it just came out either. I was more of a DCC Dungeon Crawl Classics guy, and then in the last year or so, I discovered Shadowdark after I was playing a lot of DCC. And then I was like, oh man, I didn't get all that cool stuff from that first Kickstarter, and I was ticked off. But then my buddy Terry sold me all his Kickstarters except for the sticker. I never got the sticker, but that's all right. Eventually someday I'll get the sticker. Hopefully I'll find one.
I can't say anything because that's exactly what I did. I went, oh look, Shadowdark, this is cool, and then I was like, I didn't get the first Kickstarter. Well, what can we do for the next one? And then I spent way too much money.
Well, that's the other thing. I went out and got everything anyway, even though I missed the Kickstarter. But I've got like 4 rule books, and then I ordered. Yeah, I've got 3 rule books now, and then I ordered 2 of the new premium ones from the Kickstarter, so I'm gonna have 5. But yeah, they're all useful, especially when you're GMing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I started playing it, and it's only been probably about a year or maybe longer. But yeah, Shadowdark just it was kind of like DCC had most of the elements of what I wanted, because I really love Dungeon Crawl Classics, and I still play it. And I think it's a blast. One of our local DMs, Marcelo, he runs it, and I go and play in as many of his games as I can, because DCC is an excellent game, and and I love the wackiness and kind of zaniness of it. But Shadow Dark is kind of like it falls right into that groove of exactly how I want to play. It's not perfect, but it's as close as I've gotten to perfect for a game. I think as far as TTRPGs, it's just it plays quick. You can get through several portions of a dungeon in a sitting. It's easy to teach. It's easy to run, and it opens up a lot of creativity that you don't get in other systems because people can kind of just hide behind their die rolls a little more. It's got to be creative. So I really enjoy that.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool just the fact that we were able to create a character in mere minutes. You know,
Oh, yeah.
it didn't take a lot of me having to shuffle through all the book and hours of time to, because I think that's the one thing that you do see a lot in specifically the newer versions of Dungeons and Dragons. If you don't have the online tool, then
Right.
it takes a minute to build a character.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
I've built characters just with the book, with the 2024 Player's Handbook, because I picked one up just to, and I even went out and bought their character sheet pack, which was probably a waste of money, but just because I was like, I want the nice character sheets, and I sat down and built some characters. It's not bad. I mean, if you want to play 5e, it's okay, but I still think I prefer the old 2014 to the new. And I think the original 2014 5e is a great system. It's just I just really think that combats drag on, bonus actions are not a benefit, really, in my opinion. I think that that I would rather play Shadow Dark or DCC any day, just because I've had a lot more fun with those systems. But I've had a lot of great times with 5e too. I would gladly play 5e at any point. If someone invited me to a 5e game and they said, "Hey, we're going to run this, join in." As long as it's good people, that matters more than the rule system to me. I like having a good game with good people.
oh yeah.
But yeah, I just think Shadow Dark is by far the best system for me personally. So
I just think it's a very easy system to pick up, and like I said, it doesn't take very very long to create a character. I think I created a character within like 5 minutes at your table, and I had never played before, other than one other time. So, and I didn't get to create a character that time, so it was just picking it up, and I was like, "Oh, wonder how fast this takes." And then all of a sudden, boom, the character was done. Ooh, that was easy.
yeah, and that's the great thing about it is we've got my son, my 9-year-old, my youngest, my 9-year-old plays in our monthly group, and then there's another one that was 12 and another 14-year-old in our group. And when you can get someone young enough to where they're like, I don't know what I'm doing, but you just roll 2d6 and then roll your hit points, and
Yep, and you're done.
And you're done, and or of course 3d6 down the line. But yeah, I mean, just get your talents rolled up and your hit points and you're ready to go, unless you're a wizard, which if you want to start a kid off with a wizard, good luck. But if they want to do it, it's probably the easiest system to do it in too. So
Yeah.
can you roll an 11, you can cast a tier 1 spell. There you go.
Yep. Roll an 11, and if you can't cast it into a long rest.
That's right, a rest, because there's not a short rest.
Correct.
Either.
It's just a rest. Just resting.
We're getting rid of all the extra stuff we don't need.
And I think that was the biggest thing I noticed about it is it was very streamlined and very like they cut all the fat out.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and I mean it's still got all the fun of critical hits, advantage and disadvantage, and everything else. It just kind of you've got one action, you can move next player. Maybe a little role play thrown in. That's always good. But do something, move, talk about it, next player. Yeah. And when you're running 8 players, that makes a difference big time.
Right.
Yeah. So and then that goes up to level 10, correct?
Yep. 10 is the highest.
So do
I
you ever get more than one action or no?
no,
Okay.
no, it's always one action, but they do you could possibly get more than one action. There's different items that could possibly give you that,
Mm.
but they don't put it into the character. So,
Okay.
and that's some things that, like in our Osric group, you only ever get one action, this, that, and the other. But sometimes we will add, you know, rules, more advanced rules into that. It's kind of whatever you want to do. Like sometimes when I just got pinged by my wife. Sorry if that was loud. Um, but I will sometimes give fighters a little extra something in our games, like in our campaign. I actually wrote up a cleave rule for fighters, which is totally something that is not in the rule book. You're not supposed to do it, but cleave is fun, and I figure the best shadow dark way to do that is you still roll one attack. You roll it against the highest AC of the group, and then the DM lets you know if you hit, and if you hit everybody within 5 feet of you, and there you go.
Mm.
And it just kind of gives you that little extra something for the fighter, because I know in the later levels you're kind of like, okay, I get really good at hitting one guy, but you know,
Right.
sometimes if you're surrounded, it feels good to hit five things. And
So
any DM should be able to handle that, right? Just
yeah,
throw more stuff at
just throw more stuff at it. Right. Absolutely. So Righteous Vow, what is the tone that we're looking at there?
Okay. Righteous Vow, it is I'm trying to go for, with the tone, definitely a Shadow Dark feel. Definitely an old school feel with the black and white art. And pretty a pure fantasy vibe. And I enjoy a lot of the undead vibe. I enjoy a lot of, kind of that grim dark feel.
Okay.
But I also like to have some hope included in that. I don't enjoy a world where there is no hope. I enjoy a world where there is there is some good there that you can latch onto. So I like the fact that there are great evils in the world and things can get super dire, but I also like the fact that there can be, some good guys there too that can, if you don't get murdered terribly, you could possibly make it out and have some semblance of a good life eventually. But it's a lot of just adventures. That's kind of what Righteous Vow is about. There are new rules included. We did some mass battle rules in Volume 2 and some new ancestries. There's going to be some new cool stuff in Volume 3 that we're looking at adding, but mainly it's each issue or volume of Righteous Vow is always going to have a hex crawl in it, and it's always going to have several locations you can visit with maps, and it's going to have kind of a story breakdown where you can either follow the story or you can use the sandbox and completely ignore the story. But the main goal of Righteous Vow is always going to be something that's easy to run, something that you can sit down and read within an evening and know the gist of what you've got to do in order to bring this to the table. And you kind of get the plot points, like in Volume 2 and Volume 3 is going to be written this way as well. There's like an Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3 that kind of guide you through the progression of the story. And if you move away from that story in any way, it's totally fine, because there's so many different places you can visit, so many different plot hooks and storylines that you can go with, that not everything has to be exactly as it is in that background or that storyline, but it's there for DMs that might be newer to DMing, or somebody who doesn't want to spend a lot of time, you know, um, making sure that everything works out perfectly. So, and that's the other thing is I have kind of a strict policy when I'm writing this. It's all in A5, and I don't really want to tackle any big storylines unless I can fit them on 4 pages. So,
Mm.
so I try to make it easy. If you can read 4 pages of text, you can know what's going on. and and I like to do that just so that way nobody's overwhelmed with Righteous Vow. It's meant to be something that's easily integrated into your campaign. There is no overarching world that this is in, and each different volume is in a different location, a different place with different themes. So that way, if you want to take volume 1 and run the Lich King of Ul and visit those fortresses and fight the undead, then you can drop that into your world and use as much of it or as little of it as you want. But you've got the main plot hooks there on what you can do within that world. And then if you want to go to volume 2 and dive into the land of men and hang out with lizardmen and ratkin, then you can do that. But all of it is just kind of a sandbox tool to open up your creativity and make it your own. So and I always try to make sure whatever I'm making, I want to be able to play it and enjoy it myself. I don't want to throw a bunch of stuff in there that's going to make people's eyes glaze over and say this is unnecessary. So, and that's kind of hard for me because, as you can tell, I'm long-winded. But
Oh, you're all good.
That's why I have editors.
Right? I do like the idea, though, that an adventure only takes about four pages. You know, I think a lot of times we get, like, especially like some of the bigger books, there's so many things that go into one adventure, and you're like, ooh. It's nice to sometimes be able to just pick up something and go, okay, take my 5 minutes, 10 minutes to skim through this. Okay, I know what the adventure is. I can technically run this right out of the box, right like this, and it's not going to feel crunchy. It's not going to feel like I'm having to read a ton. I'm just going to be able to run with the plot hooks that are presented, and I think that's really cool. And I think that's kind of where the zine has taken over in a lot of ways.
Yeah, because it's kind of like the old modules. You look at it like a 5th edition adventure, and it's like this novel that's, you know, you're going to have to sit down and probably spend at least a week going through it and poring over it before you can run it. You look at something like the Village of Hamlet or, you know, Keep on the Borderlands, some of those old like B2 module, and you sit down with it and you open it up, and sure, it might be a little blocky, but you can probably roll through that. It's like, what, 27, 28 pages, and you can know what you're doing. And that's kind of what I want to do with this, is kind of give people the creativity to enjoy it. You can read that intro, the background with the 3 acts, and then you'll know what you're doing. And then even if you don't look at everything about each of the encounters and the locations, you should be able to read the beginning text of that and then just play it without even really reading it. You might want to check it out, and look at it, but you should have, you know, several weeks, if not a month, up to a month per zine, I would think, of good content to play with your group. So
awesome. So what are some things, if they picked up the book right now, what are some things that you have in the book besides the adventure? Like, do you have stat blocks for monsters? Do you have items, things like that as well?
Yeah. So we definitely have new monsters. Several different undead in volume 1. Like, one of my favorite monsters in there is called the Crypt Crab, and it's just an undead, like, weird looking crab monster. The art for it is incredible. If you look, Uriah Groves drew it. I should have a picture of it somewhere, but if you do look inside of the book, if you pick it up, or maybe I can get a picture of that to you guys for later. But yeah, that's one of my favorites in there. You've got, you know, the big bads in there. The Lich King himself, his artwork is in there. There's a ton of different new monsters. There's a bunch of magic items as well, and that's the other beautiful thing about each of the zines, is all of the art is original, drawn by our artists. None of it is AI generated or anything, and all of it is originally drawn for the zine itself. And you've got all the different art for the magic items, for the monsters, so that way if you want to make a handout or show, you know, your players what they're up against, you can do that. Yeah, you get the hex crawl, you get
different locations and maps for that. And then every time you get a zine from Crawl Club Publishing, you'll always get the PDF for free if you buy the physical copy, and that comes with a zip file with all the maps in it, so that way you can use it on VTTs as well.
That's very generous. We don't have to worry about, this isn't Dungeons and Dragons where you got to spend money on the book, and then money on D&D Beyond, and then money on the VTT.
Right. Yeah, and that's kind of something I always really loved Goodman Games and Dungeon Crawl Classics. And every time you got a DCC book, Goodman Games would give you the PDF if you got the hard copy. So I just, model after the coolest guys. I like those guys a lot. So
there you go.
And, and I know that Kelsey does that too with the Arcane Library stuff. So you get a PDF with those as well. So also a good way to go. So
good to know, because I'm waiting on all my stuff to drop. So it might have already dropped. I've been so busy lately.
Yeah, I think you did send out, as long as you filled out your
I did. I filled out all my backer kit stuff.
Yeah.
So
all right. Sweet.
I should have all my PDFs in. Ooh. It's another game. This be 4.
Absolutely. Yeah, you should definitely.
That's all you need.
I know. That's what I need. Another project. But yeah. So outside of Shadow Dark and outside of Dungeons and Dragons, what other TTRPGs have you played?
Oh, definitely DCC. One of my favorite RPGs to play lately is Mothership, and that's a sci-fi. It's kind of like Alien or Event Horizon, the RPG. It's very horror oriented, but it's a percentile system using the D10 and the D100 and then a D20. You only need 3 dice to play the game, but it's a very creative and awesome game that has a lot of zines. I have probably just as many Mothership zines as I do Shadow Dark zines. It's just another rabbit hole to get into, but it's a very zine oriented game. I think the company that makes it is called Tuesday Night Games, but it's really fun. We did another bug hunt, which is like the introductory adventure with our local group, and yeah, it's a really fun holy crap, aliens are coming after us kind of game. But
sounds like, what was it, Starship Troopers?
Yeah, it's got elements of that for sure, but it's definitely more horror oriented. I don't want to give away the module, but yeah, a lot of people die in that game. It's definitely an OSR game. It's not superheroes. It's definitely, oh boy, one of these things is gonna kill everybody. So
I like it.
I'm probably gonna get eaten by this if I don't move.
I like it.
Right.
Yeah. We got out.
I'm guessing. I saw you typing over there, Chuck. So I'm guessing you were already looking it up.
Maybe.
I would highly recommend Mothership. That's a great game as well. In the past, I played what was it, the Fantasy Flight Star Wars RPG a little bit. I've played, obviously 5e. I really one that I really enjoyed at Gary Con and I would recommend to anybody is the Dark Space RPG, which is built. It's a third-party sci-fi hack for Shadow Dark, and it's really fun. So I definitely recommend Dark Space RPG to anybody who is interested in like a sci-fi version of Shadow Dark. So, and that one's really fun. I'm trying to think of other RPGs that I play just because. Oh, Osric, which I play every Wednesday night with my son, which is awesome. Which is basically a D&D, but Matt Finch's Osric, we're playing version 2 right now, and the Kickstarter for version 3 is up right now, so go get your copy of Osric 3.0 because that was I think it was the very first official. I'm probably wrong about this, but Matt Finch wrote the first OSR game, so, and I think Osric was one of them, if not the first. But
nice.
But yeah, it's good stuff. It's basically AD&D, but
I got to play D&D for the first time at GaryCon with somebody who has not run a game for over 20 years, and it was awesome.
Nice.
So yeah, he picked up the first module that was ever written by Gary, and that's what we ran, and it was so cool.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah,
shout
Gary
out to
Con.
David. Shout out to David Baxter.
I love Gary Con. I love everything about Gary Con, and I had so much fun this last year. And I cannot now that I've because that was my first Gary Con was this last year.
Oh wow,
Yeah, and after going, I can't see myself not going every year now.
yeah,
So
that was me the first year. This was my second going
yeah,
to GaryCon, and I went from, hey, I'm just gonna be a normal person to go to GaryCon to I'm gonna spend way too much money at GaryCon. And now I
yeah,
can't see myself not spending way too much money at GaryCon because it was just so much fun.
oh, yeah.
So
I definitely acquired quite a bit while I was there, and yeah,
Yeah, cons are a money pit.
oh for sure. It's all stuff that I definitely needed though. So
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
for
tell
That's what you got to
myself,
tell the wife, right?
yeah,
I
exactly.
needed this, honey.
I needed this for my life.
I mean, we probably got for the because I mean I splurged a little bit this year on GaryCon, um, and I mean just the swag bag alone,
Oh yeah,
I probably
that
got
was awesome.
5 6 books.
Hmm.
So and I know GM's got a whole bunch of stuff with that as well.
Yeah, I got
So
a ton of stuff. That was awesome. So yeah, I ran 16 hours of games, so I got a swag bag with all sorts of dice and books and minis and cool stuff in it. So most of it I've given away at this point, just because either friends have said, "Oh, that's awesome," and I'm just like, "Here, I'm never going to use this," or I actually sent a bunch of it out to my artists, like as just kind of like extra fun stuff. Like I sent a dice bag and a set of dice to one of the other ones, you know.
yeah,
But just
some
trying
of
to
that
show.
was really cool. I know they gave us the book of maps and a couple books.
Yeah.
Um, they got the Shadow Dark version that Luke was writing. We got that as a
Oh yeah.
promo as well, so that was pretty
And
cool.
I got that too. I actually bought that though. I don't know if I got that for free. I don't think I did. But yeah, I purchased it. Oh, another the coolest, probably the coolest, one of the coolest games I played was Pirate Borg. That game's awesome. And I met Luke and Zach out there, and they were super cool. Um, but yeah, I love the Limithron, everything about that, and Pirate Borg. I picked up the Pirate Borg rule book, got that signed by Luke, and then I got a couple adventures, and yeah, it was really awesome.
Yeah, I've good friends with Luke, even though him and I have not had a chance to actually play together. We've just seen each other at many different conventions, hung out, but not played. I've yet to play Pirate Borg, so that's my next. That's on my list of games to play this year, coming up. So
I didn't actually get to play it at GaryCon, but I've played it since GaryCon.
okay,
But I got all my stuff for it at GaryCon.
I've got the book somewhere.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm getting ready to move though, so things are being shuffled around.
Yeah.
So packing up and get into a bigger spot and have a bigger studio, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Super psyched.
Yeah, I also got to play what was it called? It's like it's not it's like XCC, or it's like extreme, I don't know what it was called, but it was like did you ever play the video game Smash TV back in like the 90s? It was it's like a it's the movie, have you seen the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie The Running Man? It's
XDM, is that what it is?
yeah, yeah. It's basically the RPG of that, where
Oh, okay.
where you're trying to make it through certain obstacles and enemies for money and fame, but they're trying to kill you. So it's like basically a DCC version of that, and I got to play that with
Nice.
a few of the DCC players that I wanted to meet. Like Chris Spagno was there. He's a really prominent DCC player and good dude. And then I think Brian Spellman was playing in that game. Um, he's a really great dude. And then Hunter, who was he was one of the guys in our group that was actually at our Airbnb because Dave Rosser and we drove up to Lake Geneva and then we met up with them and there were several of these guys. I think, man, I'm gonna get it wrong. I think they were from Tennessee. Maybe
Okay.
I'm wrong, but they were really good dudes, and it was a lot of fun hanging out with them. But
Nice.
yeah, got to play a lot of XCC or whatever.
So the chat room says XDM.
XDM. There you go. That's probably what
That's
it was.
from Rune Forged Gaming.
Okay.
So maybe
Well,
he's here to support you.
I'm wrong a lot. Ask my wife. So, but
Awesome.
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Well,
Plus, you can use all those funky dice.
oh yeah. Who doesn't like a bunch of funky dice? Let's see. What else to talk about tonight? Chuck, you want to ask yours?
Well, yeah, I mean, I got a couple of them. So Bill, you've been DMing for a while. So what has been one trick or one skill that you've picked up to keep your players engaged?
Oh yeah. And that's one of the greatest things about Shadow Dark that actually I think helps a lot of GMs is one thing that is great about Shadow Dark in particular is, and it kind of differs from other RPGs where you're just kind of deciding, oh, I better, let this person have their moment to shine. They haven't talked for a while. Whereas in Shadow Dark, there's crawling rounds where you're always kind of on an initiative where it's okay, you can do your action and move. Even when you're in a dungeon just searching it, you always kind of do an action and interact, and it goes around the table. And then it goes back to the game master himself or herself, and then they roll their encounter check. But kind of keeps things moving. And I would say, even outside of Shadow Dark, I've found myself in other games like Mothership using that crawling round system where initiative isn't, we're going all over the table in 5 different directions. It's just everybody roll. Whoever got the highest, you're going first. Whoever got the second highest, we're going that direction. And then we just go in a circle, and it kind of gives everybody that moment to shine and be able to do something, and no one really feels left out. Another thing, let's see, as far as DMing, I think that just keep people rolling dice. I think that that's a good thing. A lot of the time, I'm not a DM who uses a DM screen a lot. I actually do have a DM screen, but I lay it down flat just so I can look at the data. But I roll everything out in the open just because let the dice decide. That's how I roll. But I really enjoy that where, if somebody, if we do roll, an encounter, I say, okay, roll 2d6. And they're like, uh-oh. It gets people excited because it's like, oh, this is how many of whatever we're going to face there's going to be, so letting the players roll for, either how many monsters there's going to be or how bad something's going to be for them, or even, when it comes to treasure tables, it's a lot of fun to sit around the table and give everybody a chance. Okay, roll a percentile, oh, you rolled low, so you're not going to get great treasure, but keeping people engaged and rolling dice, and especially when there's kids at the table, always giving them the opportunities, and a lot of the players usually understand, oh yeah, we're trying to get little Bobby into the game, so go ahead and roll this, and it makes things exciting and fun for everybody, especially if they roll something good.
Yeah. I like the fact that you can roll good on something outside of combat too. Like that definitely keeps people engaged a little bit more. Like you said, oh, you got a high roll on a treasure chest. Let's see what we found. Stuff like that. That's pretty cool. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll agree with that. I've been on the receiving end of that for another game that I'm in. The DM likes to do that for various number of things. You know, if there's an event happening, he'll like, hey, roll a percent die, and we roll, and it's like, okay, well, based off of that, someone else rolls another one, and in one certain scenario, it dictated how many people we saved from a collapsed building.
That's awesome. Yeah. And it's a lot of fun too, because people know, because I have this, this old, I think it's a game science die that has the monster's head on the one. And when I'm rolling that thing, people are looking, they're like, oh man, oh no, he rolled a one. We're gonna run into something. So
Here
so
comes
it's
the monster.
they like that. I've ever since, I started doing it, I don't think I could ever use a DM screen again. It's just more natural, and I feel like it just gets people more engaged in what you're doing. So
You don't block yourself off from everybody else. Everybody's engaged.
and that way, you can always just blame the dice too. It's like, oh, look what happened, you're dead, sorry. So,
It's right there. The dice said it.
I'm not
me.
lying.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that I think is very important, and I think is probably one of the best things that you can do as a DM is anytime I personally feel like anytime there is a dangerous moment, just tell them what the circumstances are before they ever roll. Like if they're okay, you fell in this trap, I'm going to need a DC 15 dex check to see if you catch yourself or if you fall down in this hole, because if you fall, it's going to be really bad. And that way they know, okay, I might want to use a luck token, or somebody might want to throw a luck token my way, because otherwise I'm going down in this pit and I'm going to take 2d6 damage or something.
Yeah.
It's always good to kind of give them that opportunity before they go down in a moment of glory. But
Well, I think it also it increases the excitement when you do succeed too, right? Like
Absolutely.
immediately what's going to happen. If I go, hey, DC 15, or you're in the hole, well, you know that the opposite is true as well. That means if I get a 16, I'm out of the hole.
Yep.
Like, and whatnot.
more opportunities for cheering at your table, which is a
Yeah.
So been on the receiving end of that before too, where a frost dragon save for half damage. That's the other thing is in Osric, I don't know if you guys ever played old D&D, but the dragon's breath weapon is equal to its remaining hit points. So sometimes when they ice dragon uses its breath weapon on a line of heroes, and saving for half will keep you alive and you don't make it. I've lost fighters that way. It happens.
Boss fighters that way. Yeah, that'd be bad.
It's fun.
He goes, it's all right. It's fun. Yeah, no, that's a good tip. Truthfully, I like the idea that the letting the DM, letting the dice go out. But I do like the idea that put that DC up front, right? Like, don't make it hidden. Don't make it feel like you're trying to do something there. Like, no, these big moments need to have a consequence, but they also need to have a reward. And part of the reward is just the excitement of actually succeeding on whatever it is you're looking for.
Yep.
So,
Right.
I likes it.
Always explaining that. Yeah. Just making sure that people don't feel like there's a gotcha there, because I know I don't love gotchas, but they happen. And sometimes it's like, oh, well, that was incredibly stupid of me. But at least I know that was incredibly stupid of me, and it wasn't just, it just happened.
Yeah.
Uh,
As we're waiting on some questions to come from the chat room, keep going, Beaker.
I'm about to say I have another question. I got a
keep
two-parter question, really. It's
Yeah.
the traditional
It's the
two-parter.
traditional two-parter.
The traditional two-parter. So again, harkening back to you been doing this for a while, what has been, as either a DM or even if you've played, what's been your highest high, or what's been your lowest low?
Oh man. I don't know if I've had like really a real big low. Let's see. Man, my highest high. Um, I think one of my highest highs, and there have been a lot of them, but one
Mhm.
of my highest highs, which was just, I think it was just hilarious. And if a lot of people have heard the story, and if you go back and look at my YouTube channel, there's a whole story about it. Is just playing in that Tower of Gygax at Gary Con and using the Wand of Wonder with my halfling and trying to shoot something at a roper and unfortunately it cast fireball and I nuked like two of the other players. I had a higher kill count than the DM did at the time, so it was kind of funny. That was pretty funny. Like everybody was cheering about that. The other two players were just like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you just killed half of us," you know. So
All about perspective too, as you can see, because a
yeah,
lot of people would say
absolutely.
that's a low,
Yeah,
not a highest of
no,
highs.
I'm all about chaos. I mean, even when I was playing 5e, I was a wild magic sorcerer. So, I am not a min max player at all. I'm more story than I am,
Mm.
stats for sure. And I'm more about the experience. So, while I do tend towards more lawful or even neutral sometimes, but I do enjoy some craziness there. And I think I was probably more chaotic that day. But um, yeah. Other than that, I love running. I love playing every time I play an RPG, it's a high for me or a great moment just because I get to spend time with good people. Gary Con was incredible. Just getting to talk to everybody and hear how excited they are about Crawl Club Publishing and about Shadow Dark and teaching people who had never gotten to play before how to play, running games and getting to get feedback. I had somebody on my Sunday game say this was the best game that they had all weekend, and just to hear that from one of your players is awesome. Just to get that feedback, and just to get to run something that I'd written too, because the adventure that I ran there is going to be a part of Volume 5, and I'm really excited for that once it comes out because it's going to be a lot different than volumes 1 through 3 in certain ways. But yeah, I'm already writing 4 and 5, by the way, even though I'm finishing up 3. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Lowest low, I don't know. Um, anytime that someone is disappointed in a game I'm running with something, that is a low for me. But I don't I've only had a few moments and usually I can pinpoint where I failed, you know. And it's always a learning experience. It hasn't happened very often. There was a player that died in one of my games not too long ago, and I had to explain kind of why they died.
Mm.
And especially with newer players, that can be kind of hard moving from 5th edition over to an OSR system where you've only got a few hit points. And I think that it just goes along with you know if people are going to try to be a superhero in a non-superhero system, things happen, and people have got to kind of experience how that works, and sometimes people die. But the other thing that happens is people everybody has the same shot at survival and a lot of people die. I know that in games I've played in recently, I was disappointed when um I had a level 5 fighter die, and that was really a huge bummer because I've been playing that character for a long time. But you know what, you roll up another one and have fun. And I think that this game and RPGs in general kind of really help a lot with my ADD, my squirrel, because and that's kind of why I prefer OSR2, just because if somebody dies, oh, I can play that thief I wanted to play and not play a fighter anymore, or I can play that wizard and try that out, or I'm excited about the Kazian Archer that's coming out in the Western Reaches campaign. I played that at Gary Con in a few games, and that was a blast. So I can't wait to get that in my hands and play it. I really enjoy playing Paladins, but we have kind of a thing here in Omaha. I don't know if it's similar where you guys are at, but Paladins die all the time. It's just how it is because they've got to be gung ho. So I've played probably 3 or 4 Paladins. They always die. And then anybody in a game that we play, we're like, just don't play a Paladin because they always get killed first. Because we've gone through so many Paladins in our Osric group, it's ridiculous. So, but yeah,
And Shadow Dark has got a new paladin coming out, so
yeah. So more Paladins to
more
kill.
paladins to kill.
I already killed one actually. It was in a
Hmm.
Shadow Dark game. I killed one in the Goblin Caves of the Caves of Chaos because we're
Ooh.
playing Keep on the Borderlands. So an ogre came up and just brained him.
Just brained him. Oops. Oh
Brained
well.
him. It happened.
So, real quick, one of our audience asked they'd love to hear your advice for people looking to publish their own Shadow Dark adventures slash settings. What are some tips that you might give them?
Do it. Yeah, no, I'm serious. Just just put stuff together and see what happens. That's kind of, I mean, honestly, that's how I did it. I decided I'm going to do this and then I did it. But of course, there was a lot more to it than that. But there are a lot of really great resources out there for you. Not only the fact that the license gives you a lot of freedom. I know with other systems, sometimes you have to like send your work out to get it approved beforehand. You've got to meet certain expectations, etc. And I feel like there are some expectations there. You should definitely read the third party license before you go out and do it. But you do have a lot of freedom there. And the opportunity to, it's kind of the golden age for it right now, creating content. Everybody's excited about zines, everybody's excited about OSR, everybody's excited about these game systems like Shadow Dark and Dungeon Crawl Classics and Old School Essentials and Mothership and Dark Space and everything else. Everybody wants to play those games, and there's plenty of opportunities for everybody to be creating. So that's the cool thing that I think is great about OSR and about Shadow Dark and about all of these communities is that everybody's super positive about it. And even if your whatever you create isn't perfect right off the bat, that's what you have editors for. And you get yourself an editor, and if you need one, contact me and I'll get you in touch with Wayne and Lori because they're excellent editors and they could always use more authors that are trying to get a zine out there. But yeah, get yourself an editor, find some artists, and go for it. And if you can't find an artist, the beautiful thing is out there on Drive Through RPG, there's a bunch of art that you can purchase and acquire, and some of it is even free. And there's Creative Commons artwork out there. Just please don't use AI generated artwork. Just because I mean, do what you want to do, but I'm not going to tell anybody what to do. But I like to keep everything human if possible. Just because there's a lot of creativity out there, and I really enjoy the fact that and when you get artists involved in what you're creating and you can bounce ideas off them, sometimes they've got awesome ideas or awesome plans that you thought your plan was going to be awesome, and wait, no, that's even better. So it's always good to have people to collaborate with, have people it's basically just get a group of people together that are excited about creating something and go create. That is my advice. Just you've got to, I don't know if you could do it if you weren't as extroverted as I don't know. Yeah, I'm the opposite of an introvert. I work with a lot of introverts. If you don't have a friend, I'm going to come across the room and make sure that you are friended. That's how I roll. But but I think that helps me a lot. But I think it's very possible for anyone to get into creating third party work and creating for Shadow Dark or anything else. But yeah, just go out and do it. I think I went on a tangent off in right field there for about 20 minutes. Sorry about that. But what I was going to say is there's Affinity Designer out there, which is if you cannot get InDesign, which I write all of my content in InDesign, Adobe InDesign, because that works for me. It's an awesome tool, and it's kind of the industry standard for publishing. But Affinity's Designer is out there, and they have sales on it where you can get it for super cheap. And I've seen zines and writers that are making great stuff out of Affinity Designer. So you don't have to have super expensive software. As long as you've got a laptop that can run, or a computer that can run Affinity Designer, then you're in business. You can start creating stuff just as good, if not better, than what I'm making. So there you go.
Awesome.
Short after long.
And we did post, and I also posted the direct link to the creator kit for Shadow Dark inside of the chat room. So for anybody who is interested, wants to jump in, definitely snag it.
Yes.
Thanks, Reforged Gaming, for coming by and hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're at our hour. So this is when happy hour starts. And when I say happy hour, it means that all the questions start to come out. So if you have any more additional questions, we'll start rolling on the D20 list, and we'll start asking some questions. Normally what we'll do is we'll ask any questions that come into the chat, and then we'll roll 3 times on the D20 list, and if we don't see anything else after that, we'll just stop for the night.
Cool.
So you want to give us our first roll, Bill?
Oh, all right. Do I? Oh man, I didn't put my dice near me, but
That's fine. I can roll it if you'd like.
I'm ill prepared. I
That's
should have dice on me at all times.
Oh, natural 20. Look at that.
Perfect.
All
It
right.
would have been a 1. So
It would have been 1 if I rolled it.
Right. As a DM, have you ever made a ruling in a game that you later regretted? And were there consequences to that rule?
Yeah, probably. But I'm a person who, games are meant to be fun, and I get over it pretty quick. If I dwell on stuff like that, and usually if I've done something that I'm more concerned about making a ruling that's going to give somebody else a feels bad moment, than I am about myself doing something right. I screw stuff up all the time. And that's also one reason why I love Shadow Dark, because with Shadow Dark, I don't have 5th edition players telling me that I'm doing something wrong, because there's this, in this, if you go through Xanathar's Guide to Everything on page 32, and I'm just like, yeah, all right, dude, I don't care. I said this, I'm doing this. So
There you go.
I've had a player get upset with me because I had only one Drider show up, and they usually arrive in packs before. So, and that happened during a game. They're like, why is there only one Drider? There should be like 5 or 6. And I'm just like, because there's one. Guess what? There's one. So,
You want me to bring 5 or 6? I can bring 5 or 6, and then they're all going to eat you.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think, yeah, I've had moments where I've screwed stuff up for people, but 90% of the time, if I do something in a game where it's like, oh man, this person is probably hosed because they lost all their spells for the day, or this created this situation where their character he went down and is probably going to die unless some miracle happens, or sometimes, a character dies, but I mean, that happens all the time. It's not anything that I dwell on too much, but I try to know the rules enough to be able to be competent as well. And that's really easy to do with Shadow Dark. And I feel like I ran into that way more with like 5th edition, because I ran 5th edition a lot, and I really enjoy not having to remember all that stuff anymore. But it opens it up for creativity.
right.
Yeah.
Beck, you got anything?
No, I mean we can definitely roll another one though.
We'll roll another one if you'd like. You want to roll this time?
I'm gonna use digital stuff this time. I'm not trusting my hands. So give me a moment. You'll have to forgive me.
No, you're good.
Ah,
So did we get a sneak peek of what the next story is coming up for the zine?
Yeah. So it's actually kind of multiple stories in one. But and
What's the theme?
the theme of it is there are two kingdoms. One is a kingdom of paladins, and it's a mainly human, but there's also, you know, dwarves, elves, ratkin, you know, there's all sorts of halflings, etc. Their kingdom is kind of the you know, the good in the world. But there's also, they're running into, that kingdom is running into problems because there's a group of cultists, and they are they have taken a mountain to the southeast, and in that mountain is a dragon, and they worship this dragon, and it has become a problem. And there's a lot of story elements that go into that. And then the other kingdom, it's kind of about two kingdoms, and the other kingdom is a kingdom of dwarves, and they live in the mountains to the west. And the dwarves are having problems with orcs, which have been attacking, and then also Dwergar, who are coming up from underneath them. So, and then there's a little bit of Shadow Dark in there. And then also the orcs, one of the cool things is there's a special kind of troll that we have a new monster for. And the troll is like an aquatic troll. And imagine like a troll that's got like the whale blowhole on top, you know.
Oh, okay.
And
Nice.
kind of like a snorkeling troll in swamps and seawater, you know. Imagine having giant trolls coming out of the water at you. So that's kind of one of the monsters that is fun. And I
That's
was
terrifying, truthfully.
they team up with the orcs, and bad stuff happens. But yeah, it's about two kingdoms, lots of dwarves, lots of paladins. I kind of wanted to do the paladin thing to kind of tie that in with Western Reaches, and have a fun adventure that all the people who backed Western Reaches can play and enjoy the whole paladin theme. And yeah, so there's a lot more to it than that, but there you go.
That's awesome. No, it sounds like fun. I'm definitely down to trying it out.
I rolled a 12 for what it matters.
Okay. What is the most unique character you have ever played?
Oh man.
Yeah, that question.
Oh man, probably I don't know if it was unique, but it was a lot of fun for years. I played in a 5e group, and I played a ranger, but it was a halfling ranger, and his name was Phelan, and he had a direwolf that he rode, and that was kind of his mount. So he would ride around on this direwolf and shoot people with his bow. And
Nice.
I actually commissioned an artist, and he was a high school kid from the Ukraine, and he drew like he put things up online, and he was like, for $50 I'll do a portrait and a full size artwork of your character. So he did mine, and it turned out so good. I'm like, dude, I'm sending you $100. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, turned out good. I should at least pay $50 per image, you know. And he did a fantastic job. So
Yeah, you can really find some really good artists out there, and a lot of them are not looking for a ton of money.
yeah, and that's the other thing is, you know, I really support and love having real art and creative and beautiful art in everything that I'm writing to. I feel honored every time that I get to write a zine to the art, you know. And that's another thing that people might not know, is a lot of what I do, most of it is written when the art's already created, which is kind of fun because I'm like, I want to do this, and my artists are often excited about it, and then they create the art, and then I write to the art, which is a lot more fun for me. Not everything's done, but like probably, you know, at least a third of the art is done before I ever, get the book finished. So um that actually the second volume, the Whispers of Men, Volume 2. Andrew actually had been drawing those Ratmen, the Ratkin, for probably months before we ever even started writing that book. And that was originally going to be Volume 3 or 4, but Andrew was so excited about those Ratkin that I was like, oh, okay, you're in this mode. We're going to do it now.
Yeah.
So I wrote, and he had done most of that artwork before I ever even started writing. So he kind of, created that the whole Ratkin thing. And then I was like, they gotta have bad guys. What about dinosaurs and lizard men? And
Heck
so yeah.
What about Dinosaur and Lizard Men?
Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
Check it out. It's pretty fun. Dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs and Lizard Men.
Everybody
All right,
loves-
we got one more roll.
Sweet.
Give it to us, Chuck.
Well, I got to do it again.
Yeah, you got a good one last time.
All right, hold on. 8.
8. Oh, this is always a fun one to ask. What was a moment your players surprised you?
Oh man. Oh man. Let's see. Oh, yeah. We've got one of the kids in our monthly game. He's a chaotic, I think he's a kobold or a goblin. I think he's a kobold fighter, and is he a fighter? It's either a fighter or a thief, but we had this caravan that was on the way to the keep, because you've got to go before you ever start adventuring out from the keep. You first got to make the trek from your former kingdom to the keep, and then liberate the keep from whatever is there, right?
Right.
And you set up shop in the keep. But the caravan on the way down, they were attacked by bugbears during the night, right? And this kid, he's there with his dad, and he plays this chaotic kobold fighter. And when the fighting ensues and it's dark and everybody's got torches and everybody's screaming, there were a select few of the town's guard, or the guards that were taking care of this caravan, on all the coaches and the horses and everything. And one of the or actually it was like two of the town guard were on one side, and where nobody could see him, and he's like killing them and taking their stuff. and just I think he stabbed one of them in the foot, took his weapon, and so he
one
was
of the
like
town's guard, or one of the one of the bugbears?
yeah. No, one of the town's guards. So
Oh,
actually
nice.
turning on the town's guard while they're getting killed by bugbears, So he's doing all these chaotic things where he doesn't care about anything as long as he's getting his, and it was funny. He's had a couple moments in the campaign where everybody's like, "What are you doing? Uh-oh, you're gonna get us killed." But it makes things interesting. But yeah, I think that it's always a lot of fun to see the creativity of kids. Like my youngest, getting to play with him on Wednesday nights is a blast. And he came out, and his first character was named Old Grandma, because he wanted to play an old grandma. And so he was a wizard that was an old grandma. And then the second one, after Old Grandma unfortunately passed away, was named Godzilla, because he is really, and I shouldn't let my 9-year-old listen to Eminem, but Eminem's his favorite rapper, and he listens to Eminem, and he likes the song Godzilla. We listen to the edited version on iTunes, but he likes how fast Eminem raps, and so he named his character Godzilla. And I don't know, just the wacky stuff he comes up with. And he, as soon as he hit level, I think he's level 5 now, and he has Fireball because he's a magic user slash fighter, for his second character, because you can do that in Osric. And yeah, so he's casting Fireball and blowing stuff up, and he's having a blast. So, but yeah,
Sweet.
hopefully that answers your question.
Absolutely.
Some of these questions, I'm like, did I answer the question? I have no idea.
Children are always going to be a surprise in a game. Like, I don't think I've had it one game yet where if my players are kids, that it doesn't go horribly off kilter completely.
Yeah.
So, but,
Here comes one down the stairs.
well, and there is our call for his time to head
That's
out
it.
the night.
Yeah, they're telling me, Dad, you're done.
Dad, you're done. Well, we're done. All right.
Thanks
real
for
quick,
having me, guys.
absolutely.
Thanks
Real
for
quick,
joining
just
us.
give us a shout out of where they can find your books.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. If you go to crawlclub.com, that's the easiest way to go. And we've got a shop on there. We've also got links on crawlclub.com to get to Drive Through RPG. And sometimes that's a lot easier for people, especially if they're overseas, or or if they just like getting everything on Drive Through. That's also a good way to go. But yeah, if you go on our shop, that's the best way to go, because you'll get signed copies of the books, number 1, and number 2, we get to keep more of the money.
There you go.
Number 3, you'll get it faster because I've already got copies here that I send out, and I give you extra stickers. So, but
Love
yeah,
extra
crawlclub.com.
stickers.
Extra stickers is good. And then, also on there, we've got all of our social medias. We're on Facebook, we're on X, we're on Blue Sky, we're on Instagram. I think that we have a TikTok technically, although I don't think I've ever made one. I don't know. I try to keep up with all the social medias, but I'm not very good at it. I feel like the easiest one to do is Facebook, and that's because I'm 44 years old, and there you go.
Instagram, I think, is our main one that we use, so I get completely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, go check out his stuff at Crawl Club. Real quick, Chuck, do you want to wrap us up with the sponsors for the evening?
Oh, I suppose. Yeah, so with that, if you like the music you hear here in the tavern, if you like it here over at Dress to Quest, if you like it wherever we use it in our shows, go check out our friends Monument Studios. They have a huge library in their Fantasy Plus app. I think, 5,000 songs, maybe 6,000 plus, like, yeah, like, including sounds, it's probably over 6,000 sound bits and songs in their library, and probably still growing. It's fantastic. I love it. And we both love it. If you go to their website and use the code MISFIT, that's all caps, MISFIT, you can get one of two things: 30% off or 3 months free. And considering the amount of music you get and the amount of sounds you get, it's kind of worth it. You like math rocks? You like your dice? You like your clickety clacks? Go to CanadianDice.ca. Use the code MISFIT15. You get 15% off your order. That's pretty much shipping at that point.
Thanks.
You want shirts? Yeah. It may barely cut that now. I don't know. You want shirts that say Tabletop Misfits? You want a shirt that says Beaker Builds? Go to our friend DungeonGrandmaster.com. You can find shirts over there from him that are made on his site. Yeah, great shirts. It's just like the one that James has.
It is. And the nice thing I love about these is I've washed these I don't know how many times, and there's not like cracks on them, and they don't start to wear off. It's perfect. Love it. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode of Tavern Talks. If you enjoy and love what we do, please if you could, please make sure that you're following, subscribing on YouTube, and keeping up on the social media. Tomorrow night, we're going to return with Beaker Builds at Beaker's Garage as he does something new.
Maybe.
Yeah,
it's going to be new one way or the other.
It's going to be new one way or the other.
Practiced at all.
Something's going to happen. We don't know what's happening tomorrow. We're going to build something. And then Monday night, we return to Dress to Quest with episode 39 as the party starts their adventure towards the Chardalyn Dragon. Why? I don't know, but they're going to. I promise. That's their plan, not mine. I don't want them to run after the giant, terrifying metal dragon that's going to slaughter Icewind Dale, but that's besides the point.
Yes, you do.
I do. I really do. I want to see what happens. Yeah. So keep an eye out. If you want to continue to be a part of the community, make sure you hop over to our Discord. And I think that's it. So everybody raise your glasses high. This is Last Call. Hope you all had a wonderful time here at Tavern Talks. See you guys all next week for another episode in Shadow Dark. Have a good night. Stick around as we raid